Welcome to the Vocational Expert Views channel, where we discuss disability issues. Today, we are looking at empowering individuals that have to deal with narcissistic people. Narcissists do and say a lot of things to confuse and gaslight you. In this video, we are going to talk about 7 statements that narcissists say to keep you destabilized, to keep you always on the defensive, to keep you dazed and confused. I'm going to talk about 7 of them so that you can protect yourself and shut them down before they start. I know you're probably sick of all the verbal and emotional tricks they use. Maybe you're dealing with a boss or a parent or possibly a co-parent. Let me ask you something. Do you feel like you're always walking on eggshells around them? Maybe you feel like you're the problem. Maybe deep down you just want control of your life, or you want control. The reason that I am choosing this topic today is because a lot of really smart and powerful people come to me saying, I don't even recognize myself anymore. I used to be confident. I used to be able to trust myself. And that's the problem. Narcissists overpower you all the time. I just want you to have the tools in your hand that you can use to defend yourself. And before we go any further, if you're new here, welcome. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. I will give you a brand new strategy frequently for narcissists, as well as disability information in other areas. All right, so the very first one is, what's the first thing they do and say to start your confusion and makes you get in your head and start questioning things about you, your abilities, your life? When you're in your head every single time, they say you're too sensitive. There is no ownership by them of what they are doing to you and how they are spiking your emotions. The goal is to make you feel like your feelings don't matter, like you're the problem. You tell them something they did to hurt you, and they say you're overreacting. Or they're bringing up a situation, and they say you're looking at it wrong. Or again, you're too emotional sensitive about that topic. So you might also hear them say, you're always so emotional. Here's the deal. This emotional validation is plain and simple. That's gaslighting. You feel hurt, and instead of taking responsibility for what they did, they slap a label on you. You're too sensitive. So that they do not have to deal with their own behavior. And it makes you question your own emotional response. That's not okay. And if you agree with me that that's not okay, I want you to put into the comments that that's not okay. I'm taking back my power. The next thing that narcissists do to keep you off step, dazed and confused, is that never happened. So let's take a look at that. The next thing that they do is always say that never happened. Again, this is total gaslighting. You bring up something that you know happened. You absolutely know it happened, and they'll deny it straight to your face. Even if you have proof, they'll say, you're imagining things. I never said that. Why are you always twisting things? I mean, let me just say this clearly. This is gaslighting abuse, and it's emotional abuse, and it's meant to destabilize you and destabilize your complete perception of reality. And when this happens over and over again, it changes your mentality. So if you confront them about a cruel text that they have sent or email or something like an event that happened, and say, I never wrote that. I never said that. It didn't happen. You know you misunderstood that situation. This is not normal behavior. And what have you experienced in your life? What you perceived with your own eyes, ears, mouth, whatever, it's real. I want you to start documenting things. You need to document these things with a phone, write it down, whatever is the best way for you to document. Some people like to keep screenshots. So just make sure you have this information down the road so you can use it as leverage. Narcissists have a confession to make, and that is that they are way more afraid of you than they are of them, especially in court cases and in mediation cases or any kind of case where you have to negotiate with them. But you know what? I have a confession to make. I'm sick and tired of these people bullying and making you feel exhausted. This is one of the most insidious tactics they use. It's called triangulation. And this is where they bring in a third party to manipulate you, either directly or indirectly. They'll say things like, my friends, or these people, they think. It's always someone else, but it's like it's a group that's against you. You know, my friends, they think that you're overreacting. Everybody else thinks this. No one else thinks you're right. Another statement might be like, or these individuals are questioning what you're doing, or why you're not doing this or acting this way. And it gets you to start to thinking that you're the only one. Maybe they'll say, even your own sister said that you're difficult, or the marriage counselor made statements that you're difficult, or the marriage counselor and I are on the same side and you are on the wrong. No one else thinks like you. Even my ex never even had this problem. So, what does all this do? This makes you think that you are just crazy, a crazy person, and it makes you want to isolate, making you insecure, making you feel this sense of aloneness, and it's in a competition. So, you are no longer just arguing with them. Now you have this whole host of people. You're now arguing with this army of imaginary people. It's like a whole invisible judge and jury, and you've been crucified. What this does is destabilize you even further, and it makes them seem even more untouchable. They're like, no one else thinks like this. No one else would see me as being the problem, or you're the only one that thinks like this. They are manipulating you, all right. And all this manipulation is hurting you. So when you hear something about they, them, and others, you need to be on a manipulation alert. They're recruiting invisible others to validate their abuse against you. And by the way, if you're feeling this, you're not alone. There are many of us out there that have experienced the same things. I want you to put your experiences of this in the comments. So, what's next? What is the next thing that they do to mess with your head and make you feel dazed and confused? Well, it's something some people call love bombing, followed by devaluation. So, in the beginning, it's like they can't get enough of you, and it's intoxicating. You feel like this is your soulmate, like, oh my God, where have you been my whole life? And you might start to think that you found the person. It's like a dopamine hit going off in your brain, and you feel safe and wonderful, and you think you found your person. And then the next time you know, boom, it flips, and they withdraw and start to devalue you as a person. And then they're ghosting you. And why are you so needy? And who are you? And you're so difficult. And you start to think, what? Am I difficult to deal with? And then it's like, wow, where did this person come from? Then you start to think, oh, I can't take this anymore. And so you start to leave, and then they pull you right back in. And then there's all this back and forth. And this is what causes the trauma and your psychological issues to be bound. And by the way, now you start to get hooked in with this person. And that's what causes this mess. It starts to mess with your head. And now you're in this toxic stew of it all. The next tactic that narcissists like to use to keep you dazed and confused and off step is called projection. So, projection is when they accuse you of doing the exact same things that they are doing. You know, they often say if you want to know what a narcissist is up to, listen to the things that they are accusing you of. All right, so they lie and they call you a liar. They cheat and they accuse you of being unfaithful. They're just manipulating you and your mind. They're accusing you of being the narcissist. Why do they do this? It's all a smokescreen. If you don't feel safe, they blow up. So this is not just a projection. This tactic causes chaos. They flip the script on you. And by doing this, they flip in the mirror. Their accusations reveal their own behavior. Another example is they might say, I'm not about winning, when winning is what they are worried about. 100%. It can't even be an 80% win or 90% win. No. If it's not a 100% win, then they lost. Anytime you hear the words, I am not, you had better get your antennas up. So, what is the next tactic? Well, this tactic I see in negotiations all the time. It's called moving the goalpost. No matter what you do or how much you do, no matter what happens, it's never enough. The goal is constantly changing. So, one thing you need to do is make sure you have a firm checklist, a firm outline of what needs to be accomplished. Otherwise, they want to try to keep it nebulous. This way, they can move the goalpost easily on you. For example, you buy them a new refrigerator, and then 2 hours later, they are telling you why you're not out of the doghouse and why you still owe them more. So, you think you finally have a deal, and then they bring up the next thing. Even if you could agree on everything that they have set out over on this deal, you know by the time that you come back and say, okay, this is the deal, now they've changed it. And the reason why is because they need supply. They need to keep that supply going. So sometimes, even when you get close to a goal or a goalpost, they are already changing it for you because they need to keep that supply going. They can't have that endpoint. So it's like it's never enough. The goalpost and what they want from you is constantly moving because they need to manipulate you and keep the supply going. They need you to keep feeding them. It's really like a sadistic need for control. So, it's like you finally get to think where you're at the point where you are going to make them happy or whatever. Well, then they go, well, now I need you to do this. Well, now I need you to do that. Constantly trying to get you to chase and improve, to get better, to do more for them, to earn it. Like you're constantly auditioning for them, and you're never ever going to get there. Even if you try to do everything they want, well, it took you too long. They're constantly baiting you because they want to control you and they want to keep the supply coming. Emotional blackmail. This is the last one I'm going to be going over today. Emotional blackmail is like, if you loved me, you would do this for me. If you cared for me, you would do this for me. A relationship with a narcissist is always transactional. It's a very transactional relationship. If they do this, then you owe them that. And whatever they do for you, it seems like whatever you owe them is 2 to 3 times more. Again, it goes back to they need to keep the supply going. They'll say things like, if you really cared for me, you would answer my calls or answer my calls faster. If you loved me, you'd forgive me. There's always something for something. And many times they will give you something that you don't even want or need. And now you find yourself that you owe them for that. And you didn't even want it to begin with. You can't even have boundaries. You feel like it's a very uncomfortable, especially when they start giving you stuff that you don't even want. And it's early on in a relationship. Like, it's moving too quickly for you. But if you loved me or if you cared about me, then you would want this. They'll say things like, let me move in with you, or let me use this, or let me use that. The narcissist tactics are always calculated. They always seem to have a game plan. They always seem to get away. Many times it seems like the narcissist isn't worried about consequences of all, but they expect you to be fearful of the consequences. They're always using fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And they use this to get you to feel obligated and guilty. Again, these tactics are very calculated and they're very polished at them. And they're repeated over and over again. After all, they need to keep the manipulation going. They need to keep that supply. So they're always repeated. And even though they're always trying to make you feel like you're at fault, it's not you. And I just want you to know that when you see these tactics, you need to start to be aware. You need to start documenting them. That every time you see something or think, I might be going crazy, well, you're not. You're not broken. You're not the problem. All of these tactics are designed to keep you in this web of craziness, chaos, keep you dazed and confused and off step. Because when you're dazed and confused, you're easily controlled and manipulated. And they need to keep this supply going. There are lots of free resources out there to help you start documenting the text and the emails and the conversations and all the things that you need to start documenting if you're in too deep with the narcissist. For example, if it's your partner or a business partner, if it's a relationship you just started, then you just need to cut it off. You need to start regaining your identity again. You need to start taking control of your life. And when you start to regain your power again, you regain your peace in all the ways. And deep down that you should be able to regain your power and your peace. So I want you to know that we are with you and we want to help you to be the best you can be. And if you would like, you can put in the comments which of these 7 tactics have hurt you the most or have trapped you the most, and which ones that you feel like you're going to be able to handle better moving forward. These 7 tactics the narcissists have used in your life, which one really, really hit home for you or the most today? Let's build a conversation and help somebody else feel less alone. If you like this video, make sure you like and share it so that others can benefit from this information. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Hit that subscribe button and the like button. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you.